understand how to identify clues in the passage. Cloze passage will not be a problem to you anymore. Okay, so make sure you understand how to look for clues in the passage. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Dima Tutorials. Dima Tutorials, as you guys already know, is an educational channel here on YouTube, Facebook and on TikTok. In today's video, I want us to learn something very important. But before we go ahead, if you haven't joined our online classes, you are missing out. You are missing out on a lot. We have classes every single day, Monday to Saturday, every single day, even on Sundays too. We have classes every single day, Okay, so make sure you join our marathon revision classes. We are revising on all of the subjects. Okay, so make sure you join us immediately. If you want to ace JAMB WAEC, use the number that's on the screen to send me a WhatsApp message to join us immediately. Okay, so today we're going to be learning some of the strategies that will help you in answering questions on cloze passage. Now I'm doing this video to prepare the minds of my students in our online classes for our revisions on cloze passage, because very soon we are going to be revising cloze passage. We are going to be answering questions on cloze passage. We're going to be asking a lot of questions on cloze passage. So what I'm going to be doing in this video is actually just to discuss some of the strategies that will help you in answering questions on cloze passage. So when we start revisions on cloze passage, we'll apply all the strategies that I'll be discussing in this video, in the questions that we'll be answering in the class. Okay, so make sure you join us. Do not miss out. Make sure you join us immediately. Okay, now let's look at this cloze passage. There are some strategies that will help you in answering questions on cloze passage, and I have them listed here. Now the first one is to skim through the passage. Skim the passage. By skimming the passage, what I mean is you have to read the passage, not read the entire passage, just hardly read the passage to get the central idea of the passage, to know if the passage is on politics, soccer, not the field that the passage is on. Okay, so skim the passage. Another reason why you have to skim the passage is to also get the tone of the passage, to know if it's a formal tone or an informal tone, which is very important in selecting the correct answers. So skim the passage to help you understand the tone of the passage and also get the central idea of the passage. Okay, get the central idea of what the passage is about. Now the next thing you have to do is to look for clues. Now this is where the work is. Okay, looking for clues. If you're able to understand how to identify clues in the passage, cloze passage will not be a problem to you anymore. Okay, so make sure you understand how to look for clues in the passage. Now, how do you look for clues in the passage? By looking at the words before and words after. Now we look at the words before and words after. Words before can give you definition of the word that should be in the gap, or examples of the word that should be in the gap. Likewise, words after the gap can give you definition of the word that should be in the gap, or examples of the word that should be in the gap. That's one way to look for clues. Now another way to look for clues is to take note of common collocations. Okay, take note of common collocations. Now there are some words that always collocate with each other. Let's take for example close by. Okay, close by, close and by will always go together. So look for common collocations and words that are common phrases. Okay, let's take for example you have a passage on United Nations. Okay, let's say for example you have a passage on United Nations. Now and in one of the gaps you have I can't remember, this is a question from the past questions, but I'm just trying to remember the sentence. Now in one of the sentences you have general dash. Okay, general dash, and in the options you have organization, you have assembly, you have congregation. Okay, you have these three options. There are four options actually, I can't remember the fourth one. So you have these three options. Now I have general dash. Remember this, the passage is on United Nations. Okay, the passage talks about United Nations. Okay, now United Nations, what we have is General Assembly. So you have to choose General Assembly, not General Organization, because we are talking about UN. Okay, so you have to make sure that whatever option you are choosing is a common phrase with the word that should be in the gap. Whatever option you are choosing is based on the context of the passage, is based on the context, on the central idea of the passage. Let's say, for example, again, we have a passage on soccer. Okay, now we have a sentence that says the referee blew the whistle after the dash has sat down. Now we have congregation, we have spectators, we have audience. Which one is correct? Which one fits into the context? Which one is correct? Spectators, right? Not audience. Audience has to do with people that go to watch drama, okay, or performances, dramatic performances, because they're talking about soccer. People that go to watch football are called spectators, not audience. So you have to take note of this. You have to take note of this. Okay, make sure that the option you are going to choose is based on the context, the central idea of the passage. I hope you are following. Okay, now another thing you have to look for are trap words. Okay, trap words. What do I mean by trap words? Just like the example I gave earlier about soccer. Now, in that example, you have audience, you have spectators, you have congregation. Okay, now when you put audience, if you fill the gap with audience, let's say the referee blew the whistle after the audience had sat down. Now grammatically is correct, but is not correct based on the context. So trap words are those words that can fill the gap but can slightly change the meaning of the sentence, or are outside the context of the passage or the general idea of the passage, okay, or the central idea of the passage. So make sure you are wary of trap words. Make sure you have to be wary of trap words. Be wary of trap words. Be careful not to be misled by trap words. Okay, now the next thing is to use elimination method. Now I've taught you how you can identify clues. Look at the words before, words after. You can read around the sentence. Okay, read around the sentence. Now if you're still confused about, after we looked at the words after, words before, and all of that, look for common collocations, look for common phrases, and you're still confused about where that should be in the gap, you can move a little further. Read 2 sentences before and 2 sentences after. As in the past questions, I've seen some gaps. Okay, some gaps that can be filled with words that have been mentioned before in the passage. Okay, there are some gaps that you have to fill with words that have been mentioned earlier in the passage. So reading like 2 sentences before the gap, or 2 sentences after the gap, can actually help you to find the clue to the word that should be in the gap. Okay, so make sure you watch this video over and over again to fully understand these things that I'm saying, and you have to solve a lot of past questions. Applying these strategies is, when you solve a lot of past questions, you get used to applying the strategies, and when it's time for you to answer questions on it in the exam, something you are used to will be very easy for you to do. Something that you have been doing for a long time to be very easy for you to actually do it anytime. Okay, so if we keep solving past questions using these strategies that I have discussed with you in this video, it will help you in selecting correct answers. Okay, selecting correct answers easily in the exam. So please make sure you apply these strategies that I'm sharing with you guys in this video. Okay, will you do that? All right. Okay, so let's the next thing you have to do is to use elimination method. Now this is very important, very, 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 very important. Use elimination method. Now when you look for clues around, okay, you look for clues. Now there are some options that are odd, options that do not fit into the context, options you have to also look at. Yes, this is very important. Look at the subject of the sentence you want to fill. Okay, make sure that the subject of the sentence you want to fill agrees in number with the word that you want to fill in the gap. Okay, if the word you want to fill in the gap is a verb, make sure that the word you want to fill in the gap agrees in number with the subject of the sentence. Now if the subject is plural, the word that has to be in the gap will be plural as well. Then you read after the gap to actually know if the word that should be in the gap should be singular or plural. Okay, now I'm saying this because I've gone through a lot of close passages. I've gone through a lot of close passages. All the examiners tricks, all the tricks that they employ to, confuse students. I have seen them, or I've seen a lot of them. So please make sure that the subject of the sentence agrees in number. Okay, if you don't know about Concord, it's not what I'm teaching now. You have to learn Concord. You have to know about subject-verb agreement. So make sure the subject of the sentence you want to fill the gap agrees with the verb, okay, in the gap. And after the gap, also make sure you read the rest of the sentence to be sure that the word you filled in the gap agrees in number with the rest of the sentence. Okay, so this is also very important. Now when you want to eliminate, you now eliminate words outside the context, words that do not agree in number, with trap words. It will have to reduce the number of options you have to focus on and help you to easily see the one that is the correct answer. Okay, so elimination method will help you in selecting correct answers in the exam. Okay, and the next thing you have to do after you filled the gaps is to read the entire passage. It's very important. Read the entire passage. Now reading the entire passage will help you to actually know if it flows well, if the passage flows well. Read the entire passage. This is very important. Read so that you'll be able to discover the ones that do not really fit well into the gaps. Okay, so these are some of the strategies that will help you in answering questions on closed passage. Now what I want you to do is to apply these strategies in solving past questions. Solve lots of past questions on closed passage. Okay, applying these strategies, just learn how to identify clues. Always look for clues. There are always clues. Just look for clues before, before the gap, after the gap, sentences around the gap. Okay, also make sure that whatever word you're going to fill in the gap is in agreement with the context or the central idea of the passage. Okay, make sure, let's take for example, you're talking about let's say commas. Okay, and one of the options you have equidistance, you have equilibrium. Okay, now you're talking about commas. Which one will you choose? Will you choose equidistance or will you choose equilibrium? Now equidistance has to do with where two places meet. Okay, equilibrium will have to do with demand and supply meet. So which one will you choose? We're talking about commas here. You choose equilibrium, right? So make sure the word you're going to choose has to do with the context. Okay, please, I need you guys to solve past questions, solve lots of past questions and apply these methods. Is when you solve past questions, you train your brain, you train your mind to identify clues, you train your mind to pick correct answers. I need you to solve past questions, a lot of them. Okay, so that'll be all for today. And for those of you in the online class, and those of you who are in our JAMB and WAEC online classes, okay, make sure you get ready to solve a lot of past questions on closed passage. Okay, because nobody is going to fail any question on closed passage. Get ready to solve lots of past questions on closed passage because we're going to be solving a lot of them in the class, and also solve some of them on your own. Okay, solve some of them on your own while we solve them together in the class. Okay, if you want to join us, send me a WhatsApp message using the number that's on the screen. That'll be all for today. I hope you guys get value from this video. I'll see you guys